Today is a meal prep day. I'm really excited to make these really easy meals that'll help us throughout the week. If you're new, I'm Amy. I'm a wife and a mom to 2 young girls, and today is Sunday. My husband has our girls out for the grocery pickup and a Target pickup. So I don't have like all of my ingredients to make everything this week yet, but I did pick up some items from Trader Joe's. My parents gave us some zucchini from their garden. So I have some stuff to work with today. So I have about 40 minutes and I'm gonna see how much I can get done. And I'm gonna do zucchini bread, get some bread started. I thought I would just make homemade bread this week. I do have sourdough starter, and I saw someone post a really easy recipe, or an easy looking recipe, hopefully it's easy, on Instagram for sourdough loaves. I'm gonna give that a try. I'm also gonna caramelize onions, make some homemade pesto for kind of like a upgraded grilled cheese sandwich for lunches for the week. And I don't have most of our produce, so I won't be able to prep that. But let's see how much I can get done in this short time. So first, I'll take you over to our basil. I just bought a new plant from Trader Joe's. I don't know if you could see the basil there. It didn't look super healthy, but I figured since I'm gonna use so much basil right away, I'm just gonna go ahead and get it. I think it's a better deal than just buying like basil that's already cut up. So let's do that now. Okay, so we have 2 plants. I just bought this one. We have this one. This one is just not looking super great. So I'm just gonna pick all of the basil that I think I need for this pesto. I'm starting with the pesto. I couldn't find any pine nuts that weren't made in a facility with peanuts, so I'm just going to make a pine nut free pesto. In my food processor, I'm gonna add all of the basil. I just rinsed it. Do you wash your basil? I'm not sure if I should or not, but I just rinsed it really well. I'm putting in a couple of cloves of garlic. Just kind of very roughly chop them in large chunks. And now I'm just adding about a half a cup of freshly shredded Parmesan. Now I'm putting in a 1/4 cup of olive oil, some pepper, and some salt. And we'll give it another mix. My plan didn't work too well. Everyone's already home, which is totally okay. But I have the pesto made. It's only been about 5 minutes since I started, but the pesto is made and we will continue on making the rest of the food once I unpack the groceries and put it all away. I just put the zucchini in a bowl. I'm just gonna set it there for a little bit. I'll squeeze out the excess moisture in a few minutes. I figured while the cutting board is already dirty, I'm just gonna go ahead and slice up the onions. If you've never made caramelized onions before, I will link a video below. Very recently I made caramelized onions and I went into kind of a lot of detail. Today I'm not really gonna go into much detail, but caramelized onions just really taste so delicious. They're nice and sweet. They provide a really nice texture, and I think it really kind of elevates dishes in my opinion. While the butter's melting, I'm just gonna go ahead and squeeze the excess moisture out of this zucchini just in this bowl, and then I'll put the zucchini back in the bowl once all the juice is squeezed out. Just gonna take the other end of the dish towel that's dry, wipe the bowl dry, and just kind of put the zucchini back in the bowl. The butter is melted. I'm gonna go ahead and add the onions. I also like to add some water. That way I'm not adding quite as much butter. Now I'm gonna give it a nice stir. And then whenever the liquid gets low, I'll add some more until it gets really soft and starts to get a little bit brown. Then I'll stop adding the liquid and just kind of let it finish caramelizing. While the onions are cooking, I'm gonna finish up the batter for the zucchini muffins. So I'm gonna go ahead, turn on the oven to 400 and get everything together for the muffins. You can probably hear the onions bubbling away back there. But to get started with the zucchini muffins, I'm gonna add some coconut oil. You can also use olive oil and some honey. I saw a really good hack that if you spray your measuring cup with olive oil or any sort of oil, the honey will come right out. I just don't have any spray oil, so I didn't do that. The recipe says to mix this first. I'm guessing what this does is it kind of brings the temperature of the coconut oil that I just microwaved back down so that it doesn't get all clumpy and hard. Sometimes it does that if you add like cold eggs or milk or something like that. Now I'm adding 2 eggs. Let's give them a mix. I'm gonna add in a couple teaspoons of vanilla. I'm kind of making my own buttermilk, so I don't have any buttermilk, so I'm just using milk and 2 teaspoons of vinegar. I'm just setting it aside. You're supposed to use separate bowls for your dry ingredients and your wet, but I just don't want to dirty another bowl, and I'm just gonna put everything together and I'm sure it'll turn out okay. Next, I'm adding in the flour. It's 1 3/4 cups of flour, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of baking powder, some baking soda, that's a 1/2 teaspoon, some salt. I will link to the recipe so you can see all of the exact measurements. Calls for nutmeg. I don't have any nutmeg, so I'm just gonna use allspice. And honestly, I don't even know if that has nutmeg in it, but that's what I'm gonna use. We're gonna add in the zucchini, that buttermilk that we made. And before I mix it, I'm just gonna take you over to the onions. So you can see they're completely translucent. They're really soft. So I'm just gonna let them kind of caramelize and brown up a bit. I'm not gonna add any more water to it. All right, now back over to the zucchini bread. I'm just gonna mix it up and I'm gonna put it in my muffin tray. All right, it's just mixed, so I'm gonna leave it at that. These are ready to go. I'm gonna clean up the sides a little bit and bake these for 16 to 19 minutes. The onions are almost caramelized. The zucchini bread's in the oven. It's been about an hour and I'm gonna take a break for lunch. We just finished up with lunch. We had leftover pizza that I made a couple of days ago. My kids had mac and cheese and the muffins are out. We did try them. They're really, really tasty. I thought they had a really nice light texture and it almost reminded me kind of like a cupcake texture, and the flavor was good. It was a light flavor, a light kind of sweet flavor, but we all enjoyed it. And the onions are ready, so I'm going to show you that. Then I'm going to get started on the homemade bread. It is tastier than store-bought bread in my opinion, but it's not like the simplest thing to make normally. So I found this recipe that's supposed to be pretty easy, and I'm just going to show you super quickly what I'm going to do. My sourdough starter, I got it from my sister, and I am just going to mix the ingredients together. It has to rise overnight, so that's perfect. And that's all I'm gonna do today. I did get some produce. I'll just kind of prep that probably tomorrow morning, and I will definitely show you how our sandwiches look once I make them with those caramelized onions and the pesto. And I'll also kind of show you everything together here once I have it all set out on the counter. The dough is ready. I did not use my KitchenAid. I just kneaded it by hand for 10 minutes. So it's not quite as stretchy, but that's done. I'm just gonna cover it and leave it overnight. Over here we have those zucchini muffins. Let me pop one out for you. I thought it was really good. And here are those onions, nice and caramelized. These sandwiches were so delicious. My bread didn't rise quite as much as normal, but it was still really light and fluffy and delicious. I loved the pesto. I loved the caramelized onions. Thanks for hanging out with me in my kitchen over here. I love sharing recipes with you and making them with you. So if you did like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I do post regularly, and I do different kind of easy recipes, meal prep, grocery hauls, things like that.